Everybody. Can you guys all hear me okay? Maybe I don't even need this thing. I don't know. Okay. Is that close enough for you? All right. All right, how's everybody doing? Great. My name is Sterling. Welcome to the Rocky Mountain RepRap Festival for 2026. I'm going to kick this off with my little project out there, which is a 3D printed Lamborghini Aventador SVJ. I know that's a mouthful, but if you haven't seen it already, please come by. We'll talk to you about the whole project. Basically, I just want to talk about using this type of media for something that I think is really starting to hit the automotive hobbyist community, which is the 3D printing of not only just parts, but actually full car bodies. And this has really allowed us as car folks to kind of explore, you know, our artistic side and see some of the things that we can do with 3D printing. And this community has been very, very helpful to most of us getting started. So we really appreciate that. The inspiration for this project actually started with my son. We were doing Forza Horizon 3. So this was like 8 years ago. And over Christmas, we would play this game, and we'd always get in the Lamborghini Aventador. It was our favorite. And so we decided, okay, well, my son said, could we build one? And I said, well, we could always buy one, right? We could go to the dealership. We could cough up $700,000, and there we go. We got ourselves a car, right? Yeah, easy, right? No. Okay, so that was not going to happen. Now, I just had finished a project, which was a resto mod of a 69 Mustang, and so I was looking for something new. And so since my wallet was empty, even after that project, that was not going to happen. So we got to build our own. All right, so where do we start? Well, we started with a scale model. Basically, I got a little die-cast model about yay big and a pair of calipers, and then started doing the body design in SolidWorks, which is a CAD program. And also, this was going to be a scratch build. So this is not built on any other vehicle. This was going to be all the way from the ground up, frame, suspension, the whole 9 yards. We wanted to mimic the Aventador as close as possible. And so basically we set off building the frame. We put a LS1 engine from a Corvette in it. Of course, I put a couple of hair dryers on it because I want it to go fast. So that was our starting point. And then for the body, we were like thinking, well, we could do, you know, normal things. We could build a buck for it, you know, out of plywood and maybe bang some metal around it. We could do some clay and some fiberglass. But 3D printing was really getting amazing at that time. It was really kind of the frontier of 3D printing, and especially the machines were getting so much better. And so that's when we decided, hey, let's give that a try. So I bought this little Queedy 3D printer off of Amazon, and that's how we got started. And what we did was we got the design into SolidWorks, of course, and then we chopped it up and sliced it and everything, and we started printing little bitty parts. So basically that means we wanted to go in plastic. Now, plastic is great, but out in the environment, it's not so great sometimes. So that was something that we knew we were going to have to deal with when we got down the road. And so I'll go over some of that. The skills that are needed for a vehicle like this are pretty extensive. You need to know metal fabrication. You can learn that at, you know, your local community college, or, you know, they've got machine shops that will actually train you and teach you how to do welding and metalworking. We had to do the geometry for the suspension because we designed it all on our own. And so basically understanding how suspension works was really important. Sorry, but you need to know math. You got to use a measuring tape and some trigonometry. I know, right? Yeah. It's pretty lame, but So you can get around that by buying some stuff. So, if you got a few bucks in your pocket and you can actually sponge for that, there are companies that make kits. You can even buy an entire frame with a chassis with all of the suspension on it. So you can skip that part if you've got some, money. I didn't. There's a lot of electrical work. Now, again, there's companies that actually make harnesses and things like that for doing resto mods on cars. I did that on my last project. But I wanted this to really embody a supercar, a modern supercar. And so that meant we were going to have to learn some computer stuff. We were going to have to be able to program and actually do all of the little cute things that you can get in a modern car, which is like, the lights dim down when you get out, or they, brighten up when you get in, and, things flash and whatever. But that meant that we were going to have to be able to use some of these modules to not only control the engine, but control the body electronics. Physics is a good thing to have under your belt so that your frame doesn't like twist or break or fall apart. Again, you can solve that problem with money. In this case, this car is pretty low. It rides, you guys have probably seen it out there, and it's slammed on the ground. Well, that's because of pneumatics. So it's actually got an air system on it to raise and lower the car so that when you go over a speed bump, you don't end up on a YouTube video with your bumper going underneath your car or pulling off of the front. You can also use hydraulics. So a lot of the manufacturers these days will use hydraulic systems for doing that. Engineering is a lot of this whole process, which is getting all of these parts together to work together. 3D design, 3D printing, obviously, and you've got to have the ability to fail a lot, okay? So that's part of the process. That's a big part of the process. Also, if you guys want to have questions as I go along, raise your hand and interrupt me. So I'm totally cool with that. So where do we get these skills? Like I said, you can go to school, you can go to the community colleges and things like that. You can go to the different communities. Like the car community is fantastic. People want to help each other, right? It's just like the 3D printing community, where everybody loves to help people with their amazing projects and, basically get to the end goal and help them do that. Mentors. So I'm going to talk about a mentor of mine that actually really helped me kickstart this whole project. And then YouTube University. What can I say, right? Everybody puts out these, this is how you do this is how you do that, and now it's getting even more and more popular. And my videos on my channel suck, but I at least give you the information, okay? So don't go there for entertainment, go there for information. And then actually the industry. So as the industry matures and gets better and better at making these tools for us to use, that is really key on this. And the fact is that the printers that I started with are way worse than the ones I get now. So they've improved immensely. So parts. I like eBay. Does everybody like eBay? I love eBay. That's where we get most of our parts. So you have Saudi princes and really rich people and everything buy these cars, and then they run them into a telephone pole. So that's great for me. Not too great for them, but it means that there's actually an aftermarket. There's a breakers industry for selling parts of these cars, for people who are putting them back together or people who want to do replicas like we do. So there's exotic parts dealers all over the planet selling these parts at pennies on the dollar. You can also get into the point where people on eBay will say, "Ooh, I've got a Lamborghini part. I'm going to sell it. It's worth, $100 when it's actually worth $1,000." So if you are diligent and you keep watching these parts come up for sale, you can get some real bargains. There's also commercial vendors. So there's people who are actually replicating these parts, a lot of them in China. Yes, I know. And some of them are not perfect, and you may have to rework them, but it does give you a step up. And then the most important one for this particular project, and I think the most important one coming up for most of us hobbyists, is the 3D printing and the community built around that. So one of the things we have to do is, what's his problem? So one of the things we have to do is we have to learn about composites, because remember I talked about the plastics not lasting in the environment. So by trade, I'm a scientist. And so like a moron, I decided not to do any experiments on the first go-round. And I printed everything in PLA, because PLA prints great, right? Sure does. Yeah. Yeah, well, what's its glass temperature? 50, 55 centigrade? Yeah, it's not great. So at any rate, what I decided to do was encapsulate these parts originally in carbon fiber. Carbon fiber's strong. Good stuff, right? Yeah, that didn't work out. There's this little thing called the coefficient of thermal expansion in materials. And yeah, the PLA even broke the carbon fiber under lots of thermal cycles. Remember I talked about failing? Yeah, this was a big one. The other thing is that we were doing vacuum infusion. And so learning that was fun too, because the first time I did vacuum infusion, I did it on the bumper of the car. I crushed it because I didn't get rid of all the voids. And so the whole thing under atmospheric pressure just basically crushed into a little ball. So that was another failure learning experience. Anyway, we were able to get around that and actually make some composite panels. And 2 years ago, the car was here with a different body. That different body is now gone because we were having troubles with the materials. So this is the living and learning part of it. And so now we've switched up to a new process. And our new process is after this first iteration of the Aventador, which you saw 2 years ago. And basically that process was, I basically went back to experimentation. I started printing in ASA, which prints really nicely, especially if you have an enclosed printer. And my buddies over at Gloop make a really good adhesive. Now, the first thing that happened is that when Andrew from Gloop came over and said, hey, you should use our ASA glue, I was like, what? I can go to Home Depot and buy, some ABS glue, for drain pipes, right? That'll glue it together. And so he said, no, give this a try. So I went out and I gave it a try, and I did some destructive testing. And actually, the ABS glue always broke on the bond line. And the Gloop stuff actually broke the part. So live and learn. But yeah, that's the point. Do experimentation before you go all the way and print a body like me. So this project, for some reason, in 2018, started getting media attention. I have no idea why, but we actually had a bunch of local media people come in, and Corey Rose was actually the first one to come and do an interview with us. And that's when this whole thing just really took off. So all of a sudden, we are now on CNN, okay? So we're, family doing a little car project, and all of a sudden we're on CNN. Crap. What's that? Yeah, right? So this led to something that you're probably all thinking of, which is, what's Lamborghini going to think? Everybody's heard horror stories from Ferrari, right? Like, guy wrapped his car in Hello Kitty wrap for his daughter and got sued by Ferrari because they didn't like what he did to his car. So that's just kind of ridiculous. So the media attention was a little bit worrying. But apparently, this got all the way to the people building Aventadors in Sant'Agata, Italy, on the shop floor, and they were talking about it, and then the higher-ups heard. So it was inevitable. And And we'll talk a little bit more about that media attention, but some of the best one was I got to personally meet the person who helped me the most on YouTube University, which is Joel Telling, the 3D printing nerd. We've become good friends ever since, and it's really his videos that I used in order to get into 3D printing and doing it properly. And so Joel did a video with us on the whole project, so you can go over to his channel and check that out. It's got a lot of views. Also, he's a big advocate for 3D printing, and some of you probably know that 3D printing is coming under scrutiny for firearm production and things of that nature in California and Washington State. So go see Joel's latest video on that, and speak up, because that really affects this community. And we want to make sure that the legislatures hear about this and how overwhelmingly full of crap this all is.
In relation to that topic, is there, besides like the one-offs here and there, is there like a centralized place where we could go to help push that? Because it seems like there's a lot of different people talking a little bit about it.
Yeah, I would go to Joel's video and his description. He has some links down there. His executive producer, David Tobin, actually spoke in front of the California legislature. So there's links in there to be able to voice your opinion. And I encourage you all to do that, because maybe it's coming to Colorado too. We don't know. We just had one that got kicked back, but still, it's a violation of your First, your Second, your Fourth Amendment rights, and even further down the road. So please speak up about this. This is really important. The other one is that we also got, these are all attention that we got from YouTube. So we've had lots of interviews with YouTubers. They've all been absolutely fantastic. I've never come across a dud doing interviews. They're all just amazing people. So I really appreciate all of the love that they've given us for this project. So Lamborghini reaches out. I get a call from this woman here down in the lower right. She is the chief marketing officer of Automobili Lamborghini in Sant'Agata, Italy. She's a board member of Lamborghini, and I get a direct phone call from her. Now, as a scientist, I have collaborators in Italy, so when the Italian phone number came up, I didn't think anything of it. I thought, it's one of my friends. Nope. She told me that she was a chief marketing officer, and I just turned white at that point. And the first thing I said to her is like, am I in trouble? And her response was, absolutely not. We love the project. We love that you're doing it with your son and your family, and we want to do a project with you. And I'm like, what? Who is this? So, amazing lady. Unfortunately, we lost her a few years ago, so she passed due to some health issues. I really miss talking to her, because she's pretty awesome. But we then filmed a Christmas commercial with them. It's their second most popular on their YouTube channel, so go check it out if you haven't already seen it. You might want to bring a box of tissues. It's a little bit of a tearjerker. Especially those of you with sons and daughters. But go watch it. They did a really good job. The production company that they actually used for the video, their next project was a film with Liam Neeson. And when they flew the people out, there were 25 people that came from Italy, and I'll guarantee you they did not fly coach. Right. So you can even go to Lamborghini's website, and if you type in Real Lover, you'll actually see my son's face. It's still on the website. So fantastic company, all right? They just loved it. They embraced it. I made friends with some of the people who actually build these cars in Italy, lucky enough. So if you guys go see the car and you see the dash in there, that was one of the friends I made who called me up one day and said, hey, I'm about to throw this dash into the trash because they forgot to emboss the Lamborghini logo on it. And he goes, do you want it? What? So I couldn't get him my UPS number fast enough, and so that's the dash that's actually in the car. The other fun story was the director of marketing was over for the video shoot, and the director of marketing looked in my car, and since Lamborghini is part of the VAG group, the Audi Volkswagen group, a lot of their parts are from Audi or Volkswagen. And so my steering column was an Audi steering column, which is what you'd actually find in an Aventador. So guess what steering wheel I had? I had an Audi steering wheel, yeah, with the logo and everything. He kind of looked in there and he said, yeah, that's not going to work. What? So anyway, he next time he was in country, he actually brought me a real steering wheel. And so that's the one you see in the car. Out of respect for the company, that will be the only Lamborghini badge on the car. They actually even won some awards in Europe for the video, which was really great for them. And then it continues. So February of the next year, I get a phone call from the director of marketing saying, what are you doing this weekend? I don't know. What am I doing this weekend? Well, you're going to Aspen. Okay. So I actually got to go to Aspen, and they do what they call the Académie Nièvre, which just means winter school. And what they do is they teach you how to drive Lamborghini Huracans around in the snow, around a racetrack. Yeah, right? Yeah, I'm in. So my son and I got to go up there. They would pick us up in a Lamborghini Urus, which is their SUV, so one of my son's favorite cars, so he absolutely loved it. Plus, the North American director of marketing was like a supermodel. So you can see my son there. He was pretty happy. The customers that actually go to these pay about $10,000 a head. And that's for 2 days. But they're wined and dined to the ends of the earth. I got to meet these people, and I thought, well, I'm going to meet a bunch of snotty, rich people. Not so. Actually, all of these folks here, including the race car drivers, were really cool people. They were car people. And so they were all very nice. They loved the story. So we got along really well with all of them. So I learned something that the people who really appreciate these vehicles are actually car people. They just have a lot of money. All right, so let's get back to 3D printing. I'm done with all of the storytelling. I decided to change the body style because I wanted the best of the Lamborghini body styles. And so I started with what they call an SV, which is a Super Veloce. At the time, that was their top-end model. And then the SVJ came out, and I was like, that's so much better. So I basically decided, since I was having issues with the panels, it was printed out of PLA, I was having cracking issues, let's reprint the entire body. And that's what 3D printing really does. And I talked to somebody this morning who was like, well, you could have done it out of clay and stuff like this. And I was like, yeah, but with 3D printing, I only have to design half the car, right? Because I can just mirror the other side. And that's a huge advantage. So over standard techniques for doing, body panels and flares and stuff like that, people usually have to model them on both sides and get them as accurate as they possibly can. With 3D printing, that's a no-brainer. Right? So huge advantage. So let's talk about what's next. Oh, by the way, you see the black one up there? That's a real one. They let me have that for 2 weeks.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, I fell in love with that car until I heard the price tag. $460,000. And a lot of people said, why didn't they just give it to you? Because I can't afford it. Insurance, maintenance, all of that. Yeah, so that wasn't going to work for me, but we really enjoyed this car. We got it around Christmas, and we actually had probably 150 people in this car. Kids, everybody's my best friend now. You stop at the gas station and you're there for 45 minutes, right? But it was really nice to be able to share that vehicle with everybody because they saw it. They were like, wow, I don't see those very much. So we had all these people come over, take pictures with it, get in it, crawl inside of it. The kids absolutely loved it. So that gave me an idea. Why not use this project as a STEAM project? So STEAM is science and technology, engineering, art, and math. Now I put the art in there because I think that's really important because that's what attracts the kids to the car, right? And then you get to talk to them about all the technology that goes into these cars, especially 3D printing. And so we use this as a STEAM project. So any of you educators out there, let me know if you want me to come give a talk. I'm happy to do that. My company lets me do outreach for getting kids interested into engineering and technology and science. So I'm getting to the point where obviously it's still a work in progress. So be somewhat kind when you're out there. I know it kind of looks like a polished turd, but you know, it's still a work in progress. And what we're trying to do is get it ready for paint. So a friend of mine that I'll show you his project here in a minute, he's going to actually paint it for me. Again, this is the community coming together. So I just have to buy the supplies and he's going to paint it. And he's a really good painter. So I'm going to tinker with it for fun. You know, we're going to get it licensed for the street and we'll take it out and get ice cream in it and let other people enjoy the car. So that's why you'll see kids in the car today. It's really important for people to enjoy that car. I want them to crawl around inside of it. I want them to touch it, okay? So I'm not too bent out of shape when people come up and don't ask to see the car or get inside of it. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But do ask, yeah.
What issues are you running into with DMV and getting it street legal, and how are you addressing those?
That's a really good question. So in the state of Colorado, it is considered a specially constructed vehicle. Specially constructed vehicle needs to go through an emissions test. Usually it's just a 2-speed test, so it's nothing too horrendous. You have to go down to the state trooper's office, and you have to have an inspection done. Now, are they going to inspect your welds? No. They're going to go around and say, does it got headlights? Does it got a windshield? Does it got seats and a seat belt? That's what they're looking for. Standard safety items, okay? So if it has all of those things, they're going to sign off on it. And then once that's done, they will issue you a state VIN, and then that will get attached to the car by a state trooper.
Okay, so that's what I was gonna ask you about.
Yeah. So you'll get a state VIN. If you've got a car underneath it that already has a VIN that can be registered, even if it's salvaged, you can do that. What's that?
He wants to know how you got it here.
I snuck it in. No, I had a trailer. Yeah.
Have you had to do any other post-processing on the ASA?
Yeah, so this ASA is actually encapsulated in fiberglass. So I ran out of money, so no more carbon fiber other than the pretty parts on the car. So, but I did a lot of experimentation where I would freeze it, put it out in the hot sun, freeze it, put it, you know, do a bunch of thermal cycling on it. The main thing that was the issue is that I would do that and just lay the fiberglass on top of it, and then afterwards I could just peel it off. And again, that was the same problem with the PLAs, is there was no adhesion. Okay, so it basically would start to crack on the edges of the part. What I did was I actually laid the fiberglass into the part with acetone. And that's why ASA was a good choice. So you basically just acetone the first layer in, and that really grabs on to the plastic.
For the street legal part, did you have to comply with any safety regulations like airbags and backup?
No airbags. No, not on a specially constructed vehicle. Yeah, you need seat belts. You need basic safety stuff. You need taillights, blinkers, that kind of stuff. And, you know, basically you're restricted to the number of miles you can put on it. It's like 4,500 or something like that, as especially. Right. You can't use it as your daily. Yeah. Maybe. Who knows? Per year.
Yeah, so what's your process for duplicating the part? Are you creating like are you taking the known part, creating a 3D model of that, and converting it to an STL? How are you
Yep. Exactly.
So what software are you using?
I use SolidWorks for CAD software. I get it through my work, but there's like Tinkercad, there's Fusion 360. So there's some free stuff that you can get out there to use that. I got the model off of somebody. I just bought the model off of them because it was hyper accurate for, I think they designed it for like a video game. And so the video game models are getting really hyper accurate. They're scanning real cars. And so this one actually fit really well with some of the OEM parts. Sorry. Yeah, so insurance, very good question. I've been pretty lucky because of the media attention on this vehicle to get somebody to insure it. So Haggerty actually insures the car. You just have to negotiate a value, right? And so you just have to lower their risk, right? So if you can show that the car can pass, the inspection and things of that nature, they'll lament. And once you have a state VIN and stuff like that, it's pretty okay to insure the car. But you do have to find the right provider. Back there?
Yeah, are you gonna take it to
No. No. The one thing I want to do when it's totally finished is I want to do the Colorado Mile. I want to see how fast this sucker can go. But I want to do it so that I don't die. So that's going to be done in stages.
Will we see you out at High Plains?
Maybe.
So, if I remember right, Lamborghinis aren't particularly roomy, and you're not short. Did you make any adjustments to the cabin for yourself?
Excellent question. You are correct. Lamborghinis suck on their interiors, except for the Aventador. The Aventador is probably one of the most roomy cabins I've been in a supercar. The Huracan, which is the next level down, that one is pretty tight. So the ones we drove up in Aspen, it was like race car. It was like, this is not comfortable. The Aventador was very comfortable. And that's why you see in that vehicle out there, that's the interior I put in it. I actually had to tear out my entire interior to put that in after I drove that real car. I was like, yeah, I'm going OEM on that because it was just beautiful and it was really comfortable.
Aero forces, how much have you run into where things are cracking because of wind moving over the car?
Not much because I've only gotten 40 miles an hour. So yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be reinforced on that car. Like the wing right now is just basically bolted to the rear deck, which is made out of, plastic and fiberglass. So that will have to be addressed, of course. So that will all have to be tied into the frame at some point. But as far as the car is concerned, it's a faithful replica. So all of that aerodynamics has already been tested with Lamborghini. It doesn't have the active system, which the SVJ has, the active Lamborghini aerodynamics, or the ALA system. And I'm not going to put that on either. So. The engine is an LS1 from a Corvette. Why did I pick an LS1? Any car people out there? Tell me. Yeah. They're cheap. They're easy to work on. And lots of parts and aftermarket for it. So that's why I chose that engine. And, if it dies, I spend $1,000, I can pick up another one, right? So, no, it's not going to sound like a real Aventador. But, it'll sound like a muscle car. I did put 2 hair dryers on it, so give it a little extra oomph. So probably about 600 horsepower at full boost.
What are you printing it on?
So I was given a K1 Max and a K2, so from Creality. So those are the printers I'm using. They sponsored my channel for a while, and so those are what I've been using. I've got about 4,000 hours on each of them.
So you're having print parts small and glue them together?
Yep.
Basically?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the bed size is, 300 millimeters cubed.
Are you allowed to say anything bad about Reality?
Sure. What do you want to know?
No, I'm having nothing but problems with that damn thing.
You're not alone. They no longer sponsor me, so I can tell you that. Yes, it's been, I didn't start having real problems until I had about 3,000 hours on them. So initially out of the box, they were working great for me. But yeah, now both of my printers are having serious problems that I have to fix.
Whatever happened to your McLaren?
McLaren? What are you talking about? So that's the funny story because Creality actually sponsored that project, and then they disappeared. And so I was like, well, I need to concentrate on one project, and so I actually traded it to a friend of mine down in Texas, and I traded it for a Porsche. And now that's my daily driver. So I did well on that deal. Yeah.
So are you using any pre-preg material, or are you just using like resin layup?
Yeah, I just use regular wet layup now. Maybe I do a vacuum on it, so you wait until the epoxy gets sticky. This is all the skinning that I do. So all of that carbon fiber on there, none of that is a wrap. It's all real carbon fiber. And it's just 3D prints that are skinned in carbon fiber. And that works really well because usually you have a pretty thick layer of epoxy on top of it. And so those hold up under the sun pretty nicely. So those are the parts you'll see out there. But yeah, wet layup, wait until the epoxy gets sticky. You put the carbon fiber on very carefully, throw it in a vacuum bag that you get from Walmart, pull a vacuum on it with the little pumper thing that comes with it. Works great. So I do a bunch of tutorials on my YouTube channel, Lasersterling, if you're interested in watching my boring videos. But you will get the information. That's the important part, right? Any others till I move on? Okay. So let's talk about other YouTubers. I've been in contact with a lot of them who want to get into 3D printing. I tell them about this community. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, just pointing the picture out.
Yeah. So so there are a lot of these folks in the that are wanting to get into 3D printing, and this community has been fantastic in helping them out. A lot of my friends who are doing these projects are actually been engaged with professional people who do 3D printing or additive manufacturing, and they're really just helping out. It's absolutely fantastic. The one I want to highlight is my buddy Dario Diaz. He's actually here in Colorado. He's down in Morrison, which is by Bandimere Speedway, which no longer exists. Well, one only hopes, but we used to do a lot of car shows down there with Willie B., who's a radio show host here. But he's using a lot of 3D printing, and what he has done is he bought a monocoque from an Aventador, so a real live center section from an Aventador. And remember eBay? Yeah, that's where he got it. But what he's doing is he's putting a Tesla Plaid drivetrain in it. Yeah, there's some non-EV people out there that I'm sure like, ugh. Don't worry, I've got the ICE engine. He's doing the EV. But it's gonna be a weapon. I mean, that thing is gonna go like stink. So in a race, he's gonna kill me, hands down. But I'll probably beat him on top speed, right? And then the latest is a guy I met who's over in Australia in the Melbourne area, Mike Lake. He's doing a full 3D printed body of a GT3 RS Porsche. And he and I have been talking back and forth on, what problems I had and what problems he may see there in the hot sun in Australia. He's using PETG, which is better, right? About 80 C for the glass temperature. I told him he should probably do ASA, but the problem is that the printers that he originally not enclosed. And so you need that enclosed environment for ASA not to warp, but most of you already know that. And then there's a guy I met in California. He goes by the moniker the Ninja. He was doing a McLaren 650S. He ran into a problem where he could not find the trunk surround for that car. And so he talked to me and said, hey, could we print one of those? And I said, sure, let's print it. And then he said, could you come out to California and install it with me? And I said, hell yeah, that sounds like fun. So again, you know, it's the community just getting together and doing some fun stuff together, and then also doing a little bit of instruction and showing, you know, what went wrong, what went right. Like TSA lost one of my parts, so we had to hurriedly 3D print one of the parts because they went into my luggage, and hey, why is one of these missing? Thanks a lot, guys. So anyway, and now I did see a media post where there's a guy in Texas that sells full bodies. There's also a guy in Russia that's doing the same thing, selling full 3D printed bodies for these supercars that you can buy. So again, if you have money, just go out and buy a real one. Yeah, where's the fun in that? So anyway, you can see the project on YouTube. Lasersterling is my moniker. I also have a Facebook page, but I don't check it that much. I'm not big into Facebook these days. My email's there, so please reach out if you want to. I'll leave this up so you can take a picture of it. But yeah, reach out. If you've got any questions or projects that you think might be fun or whatever, let me know. If you want to come over and see the car, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to host YouTubers who want to come over and do an interview or check out the car. This is really cool. This Countach poster, which those of you who are supercar fans might have had in your bedroom when you were kids, right? I had one myself. This is a one of one. And Lamborghini actually had us sign this. All the entire family signed this, and it's in their museum in Italy. So, and they actually it's not one of one. I have a copy. But the original is in Italy. One of two. That's right. I lied. Anyway, I'm willing to answer questions. Yeah?
What are some of the secrets to printing ASA in a K2 Plus to prevent warping? Build plate, internal temperature, et cetera. How did you do that?
So I always use a raft. I found that's the best for making sure that the part doesn't completely warp starting out. And then the temperature inside is around 40 C. That's usually when I get the best. Also, trying not to stuff the build plate with too many things. Usually when I put too many things on the build plate, I get warpage.
What kind of build plates are you using? Have you had the most?
It's the standard Creality build plate that comes with it, and a little bit of Stickum.
So you're using a liquid to help?
Actually, I'm just using glue stick.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after about 10 prints or so, I clean it all off and then put down a new layer.
Any particular brand of ASA that you had the best luck with?
No, I've had pretty good luck. I did get there was some Amazon brand, I forget what it was called, but it was a little more brittle than the other stuff I was using. I think the stuff I use is from Elegoo. So, yeah, Creality supplied some ASA that worked great. So yeah, I mean, if it's a main brand, I think the ASA will work really well. Yeah.
So once you class over the mold, how specifically do you attach the panels to the chassis?
That's a very good question. That's one of the hard parts. So you've got to make tabs and things like that that you can actually bolt to. What I usually do is I cut something out of aluminum, bend it to the right shape, and then I'll panel bond it to the back of the panel. I may do a mechanical attachment, so put screws in through from the front surface before I go over it with the fiberglass. And that kind of encapsulates the mechanical fasteners in there. So if you're a little dubious on the panel bond, that's a good way to put tabs on there. You can do it when you do the model too, right? I'm just lazy. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Please stop by the vehicle and we can talk more. Again, reach out if you have any other questions, but I appreciate you all guys coming. Hope you guys have a really good show. So thank you.